Hi, welcome to what will be my last video for 2024. It's my monthly podcast where I will show you the things I have crafted in the month of December. My name is Elisa and I am recording this in the Netherlands in a town called Delft. So this is not like a yearly recap video, I haven't done that. Somehow I didn't think of it. I confess. But yeah, I wouldn't have time. I wouldn't have had time to do that. This time of the year is always very busy. But I have done a video with future projects for 2024. So if you're curious, check it out. I will try not to talk about that now. I am so excited about this knitting project that I have for 2025 that it's really difficult to stop myself and not talk about it here, but I really don't want to. I have other things to talk about and you can always go to that video if you're interested. I consider it a very challenging project. I have many goals, proper knitting goals and knitting related goals, or rather, you know, because I'm going to film not everything, but I'm going to film more precisely and to document more precisely what I'm going to do in 2025. So that's one of the goals, and that means that's a big challenge for me. You know, the knitting is the easy part. The rest is way more difficult. So yeah, the link will be below, but it's very easy to find a video on the channel. So this month I have two finished objects, these two cardigans that you see, one on me and one on Dolly, my friend Dolly here. But before I also have a new project on the needles that was completely unplanned, because the idea was to finish these two cardigans by the end of December, and I'm so happy that I made it. But yeah, I promised my daughter something that I will show you later, so I felt that I kind of had to. I didn't want to have anything overlapping, you know, from 2024 to 2025, because I just wanted to like start fresh with the new project in 2025. But yeah, I really want to make this little thing for my daughter. So I'll show you later. And I also want to show you something else that I have made in December. It's not a knitting related thing. It's this pair of earrings that I'm wearing. Stop. There. Okay. So I've been taking these jewelry making classes for a couple of years now. And I have other finished objects that maybe I will show you, you know, in the course of next year. Some are more complicated, you know, technically more complicated than these very simple earrings, but I quite like the way they look. I think they look more than they really are. And I really like the blue of the stone. These blues and greens are my favorite colors anyway, as you can see. Okay, the two cardigans. I was saying I'm so happy that I made it. There was a moment when I thought maybe I couldn't finish this one that I'm wearing. These two guys have been on the needles for months. So if you have watched this before, the chances are that you have seen them before at various stages of the process. They've been two very different experiences. This one very nice to knit up, this one a complete nightmare. You heard me say it before. It really was, it really wasn't a nice knitting experience. That's why I am so happy to have it off the needles. Totally. I really like the end result, and that's the reason that, you know, kept me going. But honestly, I think I've never knitted something that I hated so much. This is my own pattern. It's not even a pattern. It's just a very classic raglan. I think you can see the line with a very with your regular V-neck. So these increases are alternating rows, so you increase every second row, like in raglan always, with no other shaping, because as you can see, the depth of the yoke is perfect for me. And this was 1 in 3, I think. No, every 4th row. So half of the raglan decreases. Yes, every 4th row. And I think it gave me like the right depth for the V-neck, and that was it. The rest is straight down, so no shaping on the bust, just your regular classic little cardigan. There. The very special thing about this one are the buttons. As you can see, I think you can see that they are ceramic buttons. And they were custom made for me by a friend. I have more of their buttons and I'm planning to use them in 2025 for something else. I think they give like a very special finish to an otherwise ordinary cardigan, if I can say so. I mean, I really like it, but it doesn't have any very special features, right? So these buttons really make it very, very special. And I bought the yarn because I had the buttons. So I tried to use them for another cardigan previously, but I didn't really like the result. And when I saw this yarn, I thought, you know, that's perfect for these buttons. The color is perfect and the style as well. So, so yeah, it was a marriage made in heaven. The thing that I didn't like was exactly the yarn. So I didn't consider this when I bought the yarn. I thought, you know, it's a bouclé yarn. This is what I have left from the second skein. So I used less than 2 skeins for this one. So it weighs less than 200 grams. It's like wearing a cloud. So I'm happy with it. I think I did a good thing, you know, hanging on and finishing it. But this is the yarn, and you can see it has all these loops. And because I knitted it with a 3mm needles, the yarn, the needle could go in the loops. It got caught in the loops. So sometimes what I had on the needle was the stitch and a loop. And I never knew if I was working into the stitch or into the loop. So I had to really, really look at every single stitch. Also, it's a completely non-elastic yarn. It's alpaca, 100% alpaca. And yeah, it's completely stiff. So that was a bit hard on the hands sometimes. And earlier this week, last week, it's Monday today, so last week at some point my hands were hurting so much because I didn't have any other works in progress. I only had this one to, you know, to solder through and finish. But my hands were hurting, and I'm of course terrified of repetitive strain injury or whatever it's called. So I was like, I will have to, you know, set it aside. I cannot really finish it because I don't want to have hand pain or worse. But yeah, it all worked out in the end. And luckily we had a very quiet family Christmas and Christmas time. So I could put in, you know, quite some knitting time, so more than normal, because I'm not working. I'm on holidays. So yeah, I managed to finish it, and I am so happy. The button band is integrated, so it's knitted together with the rest of the cardigan. I didn't add it after, which is the way I prefer, because I find that, well, it's neater to start with, so you don't see any seams or anything. And the other thing is that a button band is like a second sleeve or a second sock, or, you know, one of those things that you don't really want to have to do after, right? It's better to just get it over with while you're doing the rest. And what else? The sleeve, yes, I was envisioning for this a very wide sleeve. That's what I wanted. I thought it was a good idea initially, so I calculated my decreases going down the arm with this in mind. Then when I got to here, I started thinking it would be too wide, and I could just see myself dusting every surface with whitish sleeve. And I changed my mind about the cuff, but I had like a lot of stitches, way too many stitches. I didn't know what to make of them. And the other thing about this yarn is that you cannot rip back. That's completely impossible. So with an ordinary yarn, I would just, rip back. That doesn't scare me. And but yeah, with this it was simply impossible. I didn't want to like cut off. I could have cut off and started again, but also I really wanted, like I said, to just get over and done with it. So I had like an option to like decrease very rapidly, maybe right at the cuff, and get a puff sleeve, but I don't particularly like the style. So in the end I was thinking and thinking and thinking, and I came up with an idea that I thought was very smart and that I have not seen elsewhere. So I was also quite proud of myself for coming up with something new that didn't quite work out the way I wanted it. Now I divided the stitches into fourths. What is it? Into 4 equal chunks. And I decided to do my decreases on either side of the decrease of a decrease line. So imagine when you're making a hat and you divide the stitches into 4 pieces, and then yeah, it's basically the same thing. So my idea was to have, instead of a round puff sleeve, because it had to be a little puffy, instead of a round puff sleeve, to have like I thought of it like a paper bag thing that was a bit square, and it is, but this yarn is not the right kind of yarn to see. So if I pull it out a little bit, you can see it a little bit, but it's absolutely not what I thought. I thought it would really show and be a bit square, but in reality, when you wear it, it just rounds. So with a different yarn, something a bit more stiff like this one, I think it would have worked a lot better. This is really a bit stiffer. So the idea was maybe good. It was the wrong kind of yarn, and that can happen when you do things in a rush. But okay, on the whole, I'm happy with it. I think I will wear it a lot. I think it goes well with jeans. I also have a skirt that I can try to style with this. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm not sure if it's really what I think it is. The combination, yeah, if the color really matches. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I will use this quite a lot. And I'm wearing this for the first time because I literally finished it this morning. So it's unblocked as well. But it's really, really, really warm. So well done me for this one. And the second one is my beloved minimum jacket. The design is by Iggestrich. I have here, and I can show you today, the printed pattern. I like to print out my patterns when I have them, because I like to make all sorts of notes on them, and sometimes the pages get really messy as well. This is particularly messy one. The cat slept on it as well. Ooh, well, it doesn't come into focus, but it doesn't matter. You can see all my pencil notes and my green highlighter. I write everything down. I count my my rounds by simply marking on the paper itself. And that's just the way I like to do it. It gives me like I don't know, like a feeling of crafting, really crafting. So I don't think I could look at a pattern on a screen. I mean, I could, but I wouldn't like it as much. I needed a size M, which is the second size here, and I think I could have chosen an S, because the stockinette part, no, not the stockinette part, the brioche part grew quite a lot with blocking, but luckily not the stockinette part. And I say luckily because the sleeve, I will show you later when I switch with Dolly and I wear it, the shoulder is stockinette. So the shoulder here is the critical part. Now Dolly doesn't have any shoulders, so you cannot see on her, but the cardigan starts at the top. So it's knitted in one piece, and it starts at the back of the neck and the shoulder bit. And that's all stockinette. And the stockinette part didn't change, so it means that the crucial part still fits as intended. The rest has grown, and unexpectedly, because my swatches didn't grow as much. I say swatches because I took great care swatching for that thing, because in the beginning it seemed that I couldn't get gauge, so I needed more than one swatch. I tried different needles, I tried holding the yarn double, I tried different things. So I was quite confident that I was on gauge, and yeah, the explanation is that I have observed with other yarns already in the past that the finished garment, so a bigger piece of fabric, stretches differently than a small piece of fabric. I think that's the thing. I don't want to say that swatches are unreliable. You absolutely need to swatch, but it can happen sometimes that the yarn behaves differently if the needed piece is bigger. But yeah, on the whole, I'm happy because it's supposed to be a light, flowy thing anyway. And yeah, that's what it is. You will see it on me. It's really a nice soft cocoon. Let me wear it so I can show you. Okay, so here I am wearing it, and I can show you the shoulder detail. As you can see, all of this is stockinette, and it gets just to where my shoulder tip is, so it's actually perfect. It might have grown in length a little bit as well, I'm not sure. Let me see. So you see it's nice and roomy and positively oversized, maybe a bit more oversized than the things I normally wear, but it's really okay. I can see myself wearing it with a nice brooch here, maybe a golden thing here or a silver thing here, and it's also very long. That was planned, so it's supposed to be long. In the photos you can see that it's supposed to be really long and flowy. One of the modifications I did was skipping a final section that was supposed to make the back longer than the front. Not only because I don't particularly like the style, but also because I think this is more than long enough for me. I don't usually wear very long things, and also I'm a shorty, so what is a good length for somebody else is definitely too long for me. That's always like that in my case. So I did the bottom hem differently as well. So the first thing I decided to change was the sleeve. This also had a puff sleeve and a very long cuff. So this stockinette cuff was supposed to be 9 centimeters long, so like twice as much as this, and it was a bit too much for me, and very, very, very fitting on the cuff. So it was a different like effect. This brioche part was very puffy. I did it as the pattern instructed the first time. I got a very puffy sleeve with a very narrow cuff, and I didn't really like it. Again, not my style, so nothing wrong with it, but I just didn't like it the way it was. It also had, instead of this little rolled hem that I made, it had a longer reverse stockinette bit that sat very flat. So that was, of course, to keep it flat. But yeah, I didn't like it. Again, it's mostly brioche, so I didn't see how it fitted with the rest of the cardigan. I didn't particularly like the results, so I managed to rip back. This is also very difficult to rip back. It's one strand of mohair. I will tell you later about the yarn, but yeah, I managed to do it and to redo it this way, and I like it better. So I made the bottom hem to match the cuff. So it's also rolling up a little bit. It was very floppy before blocking, so for a brief moment I thought I might rip it back again, and maybe go for what the pattern called for, which was how do you call it, an I-cord. It has some stockinette as well, now that I see it. No. Yes, it has a stockinette band, and then it's finished with an I-cord. So I skipped the I-cord as well. It felt unnecessary when I could just go for a little rolled hem, just like the sleeve. It was easier and and quicker. Okay, let me check on my notes if I made other modifications. I don't think so. So I changed the cuff, but I kept the length of the sleeve. So I compensated knitting some more brioche rows. Okay, yarn quantity. I used 2.5 skeins of the yarn, or maybe, I haven't weighted this, so I really am not very precise. This is quite a lot, but it's difficult to judge because mohair is so light. This is Kokon yarn, and I have to say that for a mohair yarn, it's super soft. So it's one of those mohairs that you can wear next to your skin. As you can see, I have nothing under it, and it's just perfect. So I think this will be enough, maybe paired with a heavier yarn to make a hat or even a cowl, because it's so soft. Maybe even a big cowl, or maybe a small scarf. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be using this one. This one, I have more than 2 skeins left, so I completely misjudged the quantity I would need to make the cardigan, and yeah, I never like to have leftovers, but in this case even less, because now I will feel compelled to use it somehow, and it was such a bad knitting experience that I really am not looking forward to using it again. But yeah, what I thought is that I will double it with some heavier yarn, so I get I get the loops and the look of the bouclé without the unpleasant experience of, you know, getting caught with my needles in all these loops. Anyway, this was a much better yarn to work with. It was really very nice. I really like yarns that stripe or that give me like an irregular color texture because I find it fun to work with, to see how the colors play out. So yeah, I'm also quite happy with how the colors came out. There are some places where I got more regular stripes, but it's not too bad. The only bad part is the back of the neck. I hope you're able to see it, but it's only there. So yeah, on the whole, and I like that there are bigger smudges where, you know, there's some white here, some bigger white parts here. So I really like that. That's what I was hoping for when I bought the yarn. I was also thinking, because it's been so fun to knit this one, that I could knit another one in a heavier yarn. This was knit on 3.5 millimeter needles, so it's a very open fabric, a very open gauge, and you could go up in terms of yarn weight, and of course get a slightly heavier cardigan, but still a nice result, I think. So I would think about it, not next year, because next year I already have everything planned, and I'm so excited about it. But yeah, maybe in the future. Another feature that I really like is this hem here. So this is also a knit in one piece, so you don't add anything, it's all knit in one piece. This is, I don't think I can show it. Let me see if there's maybe this is more white, so maybe this is more visible. Yes, it's like a mini I-cord of slipped stitches, and then 4 purl stitches, and then the stockinette. It curled this way, so wanted to turn towards the inside before blocking, but I think the blocking has flattened it nicely. So yeah, it is, in real life it is visible. Yeah, on camera a little less maybe, but yes, it's one of those like nice, neat finishing details that I really like in a pattern. The pattern was not the clearest, especially in the short row part and in the sleeve decreases. So maybe it's just my personal preference. I also write patterns and I write things differently. But for example, I don't like when it says do this every 22 rows. I always have to ask myself, is it on the 22nd row? Is it on the 23rd? So I have to go back and count. Or at some point it says work 150 rounds. How am I supposed to count 150? You know, it's so much easier if you say this many repetitions, because there's repetitions, or this many centimeters, for example. I don't particularly like the measurement indication in centimeters, because, I mean, again, it can grow or not after blocking, but you know, when I had to count these 150 rows, I divided it into different repetitions. 24 repetitions gives me, in this case, 150 rows, and that's a lot easier, right? But of course, it's nothing major. It's nothing major. I mean, it's a very good pattern on the whole, and yes, totally recommended. Totally recommended. Iggestrix, she's one of my favorite designers. She has very, very, very original designs, and like all these little lovely details that make it interesting to knit something. Okay, that was it. Give me a round of applause for finishing these two things. It was a lot of knitting, small gauges, both of them, really, really a lot of knitting. But I mentioned in the beginning that I have another work in progress. It's not much at the moment. It's the toes of two socks. And it's a mess of yarn and cables as well. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is how precise I am with my things. And I think I forgot to bring the label upstairs. So, okay. Sock toe. Nothing special so far. So you will see this as a finished object in January. I'm actually planning to knit a lot on these today and tomorrow to get maybe the foot done already, if I'm good enough, and if I don't have to cook for our big dinner tomorrow night to celebrate the end of the year. So I have to do some shopping still and some cooking, so I'm not sure how much knitting time I get tomorrow, but yeah, the plan is to finish these socks rather quickly. Like I said, I promised my daughter a pair of socks. I really had to focus on the two cardigans, so I was not sure, but yeah, it's only a pair of socks, and she has very small feet, so I'm only using one bow of this yarn to knit her socks because I've knitted her socks before, and one bow was enough. So it will be enough this time as well, I think. And these are going to be like house socks. She doesn't wear them in her shoes to go out. So even if they are not, even if the leg is it's not very long, it doesn't really matter. I'm planning to make a not twisted rib. What's the name of that? Broken rib. A broken rib on them, and nothing else. It's like my regular sock pattern, the one that I do without following a pattern. So over the years I just learned to make socks like this, and that's it. Oh, the other thing is that I'm making them with a double magic loop, and for me it's going back to when I was learning to make socks, because I actually learned to make them like this, 2 at a time. I kept reading online that people have second sock syndrome, and I was so scared that I would also get second sock syndrome. And I know myself, so I know that I'm not very precise at keeping a track of everything. So because I knit socks like this, and I didn't want to follow a pattern, I just wanted to learn how to make a sock. So I thought to myself, if I only make one, maybe then I cannot make the second one exactly the same. And I thought it made a lot of sense to make the two together. So when I say that I'm always up for a challenge and that I like to challenge myself, now you know that this is true. This is the method I chose when I had to learn how to make my first pair of socks. Then I got curious about other methods. So over time, at some point I started using DPNs, and for I think 2 or 3 years now I've only used DPNs, until more recently one of my friends was always using the very, very short cable needles, the ones with the very short tip, and I decided to try those, and I found out that they are really, really, really convenient. I was afraid that they would hurt my hands, but it didn't happen. So my latest socks have been knit on those, and but yeah, for this one, because I'm knitting from one bow, so taking the yarn from the outside and from the center, I think it makes more sense to use this method, so I can knit until I have yarn. And yeah, and just use it up. The yarn is a commercial yarn. It's like I said, I forgot to bring upstairs the label, but it's a cashmere sock yarn by Lana Grossa. I will put the name below and the composition below, but I think it has a 10% cashmere and the rest is your regular sock yarn, so merino wool with some nylon. And that's it, so you will see them later on. I think that's it for today, friends, and I will see you in the new year. If you liked what I did in this video and maybe in the previous videos this year, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. That would be a great end of year present that you're giving me. It will make me so happy. So I wish you a great 2025 and I hope to see you here next year. Goodbye.